viewers. Welcome to the Burial Talk Show, and I am your host, Hannah Green. Welcome to the Burial Trend TV. Today we have a very special and wonderful guest in the Burial House. So give it up for Barrister Tony.
Hello, guys. I'm pleased and happy to be here today. My name is Barrister Anthony Ali. I'm a leading entrepreneur, and I'm a very real person. So that's why I like to be here.
That's why we keep it 100% true in the Berry Trend TV. So you're welcome, right?
Thank you so much.
We're happy to have you in our midst today. Yeah. So today we'll be talking about the new law in this our wonderful country, Nigeria. The new law of taxation. We want to know your own view, how you see it. What do you think of this whole new law, paying tax, taking tax from people, even the most what is the word? The most simplest kind of business that one should do, you expected that you're going to pay tax. I mean, how is that even possible? So I wanted to share your views with me today. According to the Newly Tax Reform Act, stating that everything that has everything that has been paid in Nigeria is expected to pay back tax on whatever it is that you do. You have to pay your own tax. So please share your view or your thoughts.
Well, that notion may not be entirely correct.
Okay.
First of all, I'm not an advocate for Tinubu and the government of Nigeria.
You're not a politician.
I'm not a politician. So whatever I'm going to say is from the legal point or position with respect to the Nigerian tax law.
Okay.
First of all, it's important that we know that tax is it's not an uncommon system. No, tax have existed since the creation or the existence of man. Tax is just the system through which societies generate money from its people to be able to affect the life of people. That's what it is.
Okay.
However, I know the reason why there's this apathy towards tax and this new tax law is simply because two things. One, you don't teach a person to use left hand in old age.
You see?
You can't. Tax has been in existence, but there was no education on it, no knowledge, no information. People didn't know, and there was also no system that monitored and ensured that tax systems were fully functioning.
Yeah.
Rather, tax system became polarized in the way that you look at everything, local government level. Some people come to your shop and tell you pay 3,000 naira in a month. They tell you this is a levy on these different levies. But when it comes to tax, and another thing before I go into that, the reason why there's apathy towards it is the purpose for tax is originally to ensure that government generates some kind of revenue with which they use to improve the life and welfare of the.
Okay.
Now, but the average Nigerian man lacks public trust. They don't trust their government. They don't believe that if I give you this tax, at the end of the day, it will give me road or it will give me lights. They don't believe that. That's supposed to be the purpose.
Okay.
You understand?
At least you're in Nigeria.
Yes.
I was going to ask you a question right now.
Okay.
Do you believe?
I don't believe.
Do you trust your government?
No, I don't. I won't beat around about the bush.
Yeah.
I don't. Because the antecedents so far, I grew up in Nigeria. I've never lived anywhere outside Nigeria. And I've not seen, aside from maybe some good roads and maybe one government comes and manages to use all the resources to just do one road or flyover. And then they make it look like that's dividend of democracy.
Yeah.
It's fair enough. But then there are much more than those things. So I do not trust when I sit down and I hear that billions of dollars were seen in one house in somewhere. Till today we don't know the owner.
And some of them
Snake
are
and
bad.
serpent have swallowed money. We don't know how snakes swallowed money. We see people leave power and we are hearing 800 billion naira stolen by this person. Yeah. And these people are the people who are still going to administer the revenue. When it comes, it still go back to them. What is the guarantee? Will the new tax law change the attitude of the leaders? The answer is no. But then this is the part that I think it will bring about. If we have tax consciousness, then people will develop more interest in their government and governance. Let me give you an example. If at the end of the year you have paid tax, at the end of 4 years you have paid tax for 4 years, and it's time for election, nobody will tell you that, man, I'll have to come out to ensure that the person that is leading me, I can't be paying my money for people to be enjoying themselves. So it will bring consciousness of involvement in governance to the common man. That's what I think it will do. People will now see that we are part of the system, and there will be people who begin to make demands from their leaders. For example, if you are paying your tax and then there's an issue, and then the state government, the local government cannot handle it, people can now come together. No, you can't tell us that. We are paying tax because we want certain things to happen, and they are not happy. People can now stand up and because they know they are being invested in. The other ways, even though there have been many ways people have been paying tax in time past, but then we didn't feel it because there was no contact information or knowledge passed down to us. There's no tax information to us. So because of that, most people feel that maybe it never existed. It actually existed in many ways. Now, the new tax law. Now, the tax reform was done, and they produced 4 tax laws. Of the 4 tax laws, one is the major law, which is the Nigerian tax law. The Nigerian Tax Act is the NTA. That one is the tax act that encompasses what everything about taxation now in Nigeria will be. Now there are other 3. You see other 3 acts also that came alongside it. One which is the Nigerian Revenue Service Act. That Nigerian Revenue Service Act, what it did is to repeal the former FIRS Act. You know FIRS, the Federal Revenue Service. So now we don't have that again. What we have now is the Nigerian Revenue Service. Now they are the ones responsible. Now they are the, what do you call it? They are the Obiango. They are the task force. They are the ones responsible now for handling revenue service, which is tax. Then there's the second one, which is the Joint Revenue Board. I think that Joint Revenue Board is just like what you used to have before, which is the Joint Tax Board. Their duty is to do voter accreditation, database of voter and all that for you to register and all, and then to monitor, and also provided for regulatory bodies like the Tax Appeal Tribunal and other aspects. Then the last one is the Tax Administration Act. That one is one that talks about how the taxes are administered between both the tax master and the taxpayer. I don't know if you understand, or taxpayer. Now, essentially, what this the National Tax Act did is to harmonize all the taxes we've had.
Yeah.
All those petroleum regulatory tax, all those tax with respect to whatever you can call it, but it now harmonized the law into one and structured it in a way that we can now pay the tax as one tax. Are you getting it now? Now we have them. It's either there's your income tax, development levy, or VAT. The law also, it has its positives. And but then when I look at the law, I ask myself, even though the law says there are some people that are not supposed to pay tax, like you say, it's not that everybody must pay tax.
Yeah.
The law did not say so. The law says some people are exempted from paying tax. Well, I don't know where those people will be, where they are from. Because this is what the law says.
Thank God.
The law says the law says anybody whose annual income is less than 800,000 should not pay tax. Then it means that is that approximately For you not to pay tax, your monthly income should be around 67,000 naira. That's the whole money.
Now the year. Isn't that even funny?
So now, and of course, that already shows us how poor the Nigerian citizen is.
Yeah.
If you describe, and they said from their own analysis, they said from statistics, 96 or so, there are about percent of Nigerians live below that 800.
Yeah.
So that's to show you how poor the population is. Are you getting it?
Yeah, I was even going to, before we got here, when we started this very episode, you made mention of some local shops where they sell local things. Some of them even keep their tables on that same road that they use all of this money to construct. They do not have shops of their own. And these tax collectors still go and collect. They don't even make up to 70,000 naira per month. These people barely make up to 5,000 naira per month, and they will still come and collect 3,000 naira for 1 day, for 1 month from them.
Those ones now are the people that are going to enjoy this tax act. That's why I say they are the positive part of the act. And that's where I want to focus on, because the negative part for me is one central negative part. What the tax law came to do is tax the rich and use to better the life of the poor. But my problem is the process of bettering the life of the poor. I don't have a guarantee. I have not developed enough trust in the government to be able to convert that money from the rich to the poor. I just feel it's to convert it from the rich to the bourgeois, to those who are in power.
Yeah.
Because that's okay. Let me give you, there's a scenario. I was coming back from a journey and I was discussing with someone, and the person told me, said, recently the governor of Abia State had a fundraiser to raise funds to do something. I can't remember the entire part. And he said the man ended up raising over how many billion naira from there. And he said most of the people who made that donation are from Aba. You know why people can make that degree of donation? Because these people have come to see what they have not imagined in their life will ever happen. As a matter of fact, the man is working miracles in Abia State.
That's true.
You go to a place that used to be the most dirty place. As a matter of fact, if you pass through that place, no matter the color you apply, no matter the degree of
was the worst, dirtiest.
No matter the degree of fragrance you apply, if you pass through a bath, you will lose it and take a new order when you are leaving that place.
No.
But you go to that same place now, you will not know where the market was anymore. So that kind of a man, if he tells you come and pay tax, you'll be glad to pay, because you will know that this thing will result in. Because they talked about educational, that part of this money will put into educational tax fund, educational this healthcare that. But till tomorrow, the price or the cost of education, it keeps skyrocketing.
Yeah.
The cost of practically everything keeps skyrocketing. So how do I believe that this tax, if you take it from the so-called, because the tax, this is how the tax is progressive. The more you earn, the more you pay. That's what the tax is about. More you earn, the more you pay. But then there are ways to go about it. That is why I will come to that market woman that you were talking about. It's essential. Let me just give a holistic what the law entails generally, so that we can have an idea roundly about it. Now, the innovation there is digitalization of taxing system, which means that I can at this point say, if you on your own now can handle your tax yourself easily by going to their system and being able to log in and really get your tax ID, and then you report yourself. Are you getting it now? Then your tax is determined. You can even determine your tax yourself after making, because there are deductions to be made.
Oh, really?
Yes, there are deductions. There are some things that are not taxable.
Wow.
So that's why you are hearing to say that you should put narration where you are transferring money, right? The narration. Even though the narration, like I told people, I said is important. Even though the people representing the tax agencies said there's no need for it, I believe there is need, because I'm speaking as a lawyer.
Okay.
Because as humans, we are bound to make mistakes at one point or the other. When you fail to pay your taxes as when due, the government then has the right to prorate, to just look at your account, look at the financial statement, look at how much you have generated, and determine your tax. Okay. So at that point, what protects you is you cannot go and make arguments. In making those arguments, you have to show that this money is, I spent this money on this, on this. At that point, your narration may help you in a long way. But prior to that time, if you timeously, as at when you are supposed to do your returns, if you do your returns, you may not have that issue, and the tax you may pay, you may end up not paying tax, because practically the Nigerian man earns to survive. So if you check, because they say there's domestic expenses are not taxable, so it means you have. I'm not encouraging anyone not to pay tax. So,
tell us,
but it simply means that. And domestic, if money enters my account in a month, over probably maybe is 500,000, and at the end of the day, I can tag and say my house, because I have a very big household. I take care of my father, my mother, my brother, my sister, and I pay staff's salary. I do this, and I say, okay, the total that 500,000, the only amount that is for me personally and my personal gain for that month is 50,000. The rest went for domestic, this for this.
Okay, so today was a very good day. We are thankful to you, Barrister Tony. We had a very beautiful.
But there's an important advice. Please let me give this advice. This advice is coming from a place of an information I got from somebody who's close to me. She does POS services. And I went to see her to get some money. And I told her, have you registered your business? And she said, no, that this one that they are bringing tax, that she that does not have money, government wants to take. And I said, no, it is important to register it, because now you have money coming to you. And as a taxable individual in Nigeria, at the end of the day, you are supposed to pay your tax. If you are found to be wanting in your tax, and then at that point you come and say, no, I was using it for my business. The question is, what is the name of your business? How is your business operating? And then you say, there's no business here, I'm not registered. That non-registration is an offense in law, punishable by 2 years imprisonment. And as a matter of fact, you have to pay fine of 150 naira per day after the 28 days you fail to register. So if you have used it for 2 years, without anything, 150 times each day in 2 years.
Let me say
that is one. You pay that, then you may still be liable for imprisonment for 2 years. And that does not eliminate the fact that you still pay that tax as an individual. But as a business, your tax bracket is even wider for you. You can be able to escape high tax for small businesses like that POS woman. Okay. Because most of the money the POS woman gets are not her own. They are capital. Yeah. Gain is 200 and 300 and 500 and on top. So to protect that, I'm not going to pay tax on the money that does not belong to you. Yeah. Register your business, get your tax ID as a business, and then file your tax return as at when the year is coming to an end. Go to their website, look at it, file, tell them this is the money that entered my account. This is what I did with it. I use this one for this. I use this one for this. I use this one for this. This is my profit. Stated, this is my income that is by profit, that classified as profits. And at that point, you make your deduction. There's a scale before you can even pay certain amounts. You must get to a particular level. So, like I said, it's the wealthy in the society who like me that will pay for other people. So I like to take tax. I'm a very law advice.
Yes.
But just you can study more about the law, the tax law anywhere online, but don't be found wanting. Don't be found wanting.
All right.
Okay, now for students are not taxpayers. They are not taxable individuals. But if they are carrying on any business, of course, those business will be registered. And then they will pay tax if they fall within the bracket that should pay tax. That's so it doesn't matter about status but as a student, they give you pocket money. As a matter of fact, you don't pay tax on bills.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
Yes, you don't pay tax on gigs. You don't pay tax on, and also religious bodies do not pay tax. NGOs do not pay tax. All these, like you have friends club, social friends club, you don't pay tax. Those kind of groups do not pay tax. So they are, except that group has something they are doing, which is they're using to generate money. They are doing a particular, excuse me, business to generate, funds. That's the only way they can pay tax. Aside from that, if you are not doing business, then you are not likely to pay tax. And if you are jobless, you know they pay tax now. Where you are getting everything you are getting is gifts, so you can't pay tax. All right.
Okay, guys, there you have it. Today we had Pastor Tony with us on the Beirut Trend TV. Me, I don't learn plenty like this. Now everyone moving. We're very thankful that we had you today on the show, Beirut Trend TV. Please, do not forget, guys, to subscribe to our YouTube channel,
Exactly.
Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and all around the world. We are here for you. We keep it 100%. Please, Pastor Tony, give us a shout out to the Beirut Trend TV.
It was a pleasure being here today. Please try and like,
Share,
and subscribe. And if you have anything, comment. If you have anything to ask, you can also drop a comment. They will, we'll be here to respond to whatever your questions have.
All right. Cheers. See you.